Hi guys, it's Arsh Ellahi. It's Sunday evening, and yes, it is Sunday evening. It's 8 p.m. As for those that are following me live on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, you can see that I'm in my home setting at home, where I'm sat here in t-shirt, cap, completely unshaven, as you do. But what we're going to do is the reason why I'm doing tonight's session is because I've been approached, admittedly, for so many months to do this session. So every day, on average, I get approximately 10 emails a day saying, guys, okay, so hope you're well, blah, 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 blah. Can you please give us some more info on rent to rent, give us some more free content? And this is exactly what we're going to be doing. Tonight, I'm going to be showing you something very powerful, how to become a yes machine. Because I believe that in order for all the opportunity for you, in order for you to take advantage of all the opportunities that you come across, you've got to say yes. That's the easiest thing that you've got to do. Just say yes. So if you take nothing else away from the webinar, just say yes. So guys, okay, if you're on the webinar and there's lots of you on there, just give me a quick hello. Let me know that you can hear me nice and loudly and clearly. Hi, Andy. Hi, Andy Watkis. Haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're well. Hi, Charmaine. So we've got a lot of people saying yes. Hey, Ed. How you doing? So let's keep moving forward. So first of all, oh, sorry, I'm going a bit crazy on my slides. I want to say thank you. We're online for 60 minutes. A few people, if you follow my Facebook post, one person said that he's adamant that he wants to watch, I can't remember what program it is, The Bodyguard or something like that. So we're going to try and keep it to 60 minutes. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for trusting me with your time this evening. I appreciate time is a precious commodity and it shouldn't be wasted. But I guarantee you that tonight we're going to give you a pretty much 100% full impact and full value and content. So here's a chance for you to join. Here's a chance for you to win a prize. I've never done this before. So if you're on Facebook at the moment, or if you're on a webinar, or if you're on Instagram, or if you're on YouTube, here's what I want you to do. I want you to share this video. If you're on the webinar, I want you to join me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. So if you are watching me on Facebook, if you are watching me on Instagram, share this video. And what we're going to be doing is that we're going to randomly pick a person to win a prize, which is worth £1,500. So just by sharing the video, you're going to be able to win. Just by sharing the video, we're going to pick one person that's going to be able to win £1,500 at the end of this session. So guys, so if you're on the webinar, again, it'd be great if you can join me on Facebook. It'd be great if you could join me on LinkedIn. It could be great if you could join me on Instagram and YouTube, because I'm on there pretty much every day. And it's rare now that I do the webinars as much as I do. So what we're going to be doing tonight is that you're in the right place if you want a simple to follow system to bring in more deals. You are in the right place if you've hit a brick wall when it comes to growing your rent-to-rent business, and you are in the right place if you're looking for some fresh ideas to secure more deals. So if you are here, just give me a quick yes, this sounds good to me. Yeah. And why should you listen to me? So I appreciate there's lots of people doing rent-to-rent. I appreciate there's loads of people, loads of workshops out there and saying, guys, okay, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You know what? I applaud you. First of all, I really applaud you, because there are lots of people out there in the property sector, in the property industry. Now, the one thing that there aren't many of is veterans like me. I've been involved in property pretty much full-time 18 years. So I've seen the recession, I've seen the boom, I've seen the bust, and I'm definitely here back to tell the tale. So that's actually the title of my book. It's called Boom, Bust and Back Again. So as you can tell, it's never always been an easy journey for me, but I've seen the good times, I've seen the bad times, and I am actually here to tell the tale. I run a group of letting agencies, so I'm a franchisor of a letting agency. I set it up approximately 8 years. So we've got a few franchisees across the country. And in a space, believe it or not, I've put in just over under 2 years, I've built a rent-to-rent portfolio that gives me in excess of £30,000 a month cash, in excess £30,000 monthly cash flow. Now that is a massive amount of money, and anyone would be extremely happy with that. But I'm still extremely driven. I'm still extremely hungry. So I'm 30, where are we, 2018. I'm still 37 years old. My goal, very simply, is to retire at the age of 45. And I could do that today, very easily could do that today. But I still think that I've got this itch. My wife keeps telling me to slow down, but I keep speeding up. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. If someone could tell me what it is, that would be fantastic. I've still got this urge. I think I've got something fantastic that's yet to come out. I think 2019 is my year for that. So what is the system that we're going to be talking about? It's a 4-step property management system. It's a system that turns you into an expert property manager. It's a system that gives the landlord everything that they want from their property. It's a guaranteed income, passive income, plus a truckload of other must-have benefits. It's a system that enables you to make a passive property income without actually owning a house. Now, if you're watching me on Facebook and you're watching me on YouTube or Instagram, you're thinking, bloody hell, okay, how can you actually get involved in property without actually owning a house? Believe it or not, it's actually possible. I've been doing this for a number of years, and I've actually got 45 properties that I've taken control of that I do not own, but yet I'm making cash flow from. As well as that, I also have my property portfolio. As well as that, I own a group of letting agency. As well as that, I run a training company. So there's loads of different things that I do. I just want to say a quick hi to my wife, who's just logged in. Hi, how are you? Haven't seen you for a week. Hope you're well. Sorry, a bit random. So this system is also known as rent to rent. So remember, it is all about taking control of a property that you do not own, but yet make passive income from. So what is rent to rent? You know, it's not new. Anyone that says, is this a new strategy? No, it's not. Very simply is you manage the landlord's property, very similar to a letting agency. When I would say a big K to people like Begging Rogers who are online. So you give the landlord a guaranteed property income, which in essence is that we're letting the property off them, or we're managing the property off them, depending on how you want to look at it. Which means that we're giving them a better deal than a letting agency would. We won't also bother the landlord with any maintenance issues, which means that we're giving them a better deal than what a traditional tenant would. Does that make sense? So are you starting to get the gist of what rent to rent is? Now, just so that I can make sure that I've got everyone online, so I've got lots of people joining on Facebook. If you like the video, please share it. Everyone that shares it, we're going to pick one lucky person to win a prize worth £1,500. So like, share the video. So does everyone get the gist of what rent to rent is? We rent the property out to a landlord. We're going to go through it in greater detail. And we've got some graphics to show you how it actually works. So 4-stage process. What is rent to rent? You rent a property on a single let basis from a landlord, which is pretty normal. You get the permission to rent out the rooms individually. Now, there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about there, because especially from the 1st of October 2018, there's going to be a massive change, which is going to make you have to wonder whether it's completely viable for you to do this. Now, step 3 is that you rent the property out by the room, turn it from a single let into potentially 4 to 6 single lets. Now, just so that you know, in the UK, providing that you're not in an Article 4 area, you can run up to a 6-bed HMO without the use of planning permission, providing that you're not in the Article 4 area. Just so that you know, you will have to check on your individual local authority as to whether you are in an Article 4 area or not. So I'm not going to, you know, as someone says, all this information disappears at midnight tonight and all that kind of stuff. All I'm going to say is that you do need to check with the local authority. And step number 4 is that you receive multiple rents. So you've taken a single let, you've turned it into a multi-let, and as a result, you've now got 6 people paying you rent as opposed to 1 family. And as a result, you receive multiple rents. You pay your single let rent to the landlord, and you pay the utility bills, and you bank the difference. So there's other things that you'll have to bank, but there's lots of things, there's lots of benefits for you to be doing this. So again, who benefits from this? Or let's go through the stage. So just imagine that you're the landlord. Now, you're the landlord, you may have been let down, you may have had a bad tenant, they may have trashed the property, they may have had a void, you've got a bad letting agency, your property is riddled with maintenance issues. There's a number of different reasons why a landlord would want to give me their property. Could be that they're sick to death of the agency calling and say, we've got a leaky tap, we've got a broken curtain rail, you name it. There's so many different things as to why they would want to do this. I've got landlords that live on the opposite side of the world that own property in Peterborough, in Manchester, in Liverpool, in, you know, wherever it may be in the country. And believe it or not, it doesn't only have to be houses that you can take. So it could be commercial properties, it could be single lets, it could be flats, it could be industrial units. Rent to Rent has been operating for a number of different years over a number of different sectors. Now, going back to it, as a landlord, I approach you, which you as in, so you're the landlord, I approach you and say, guys, okay, this is who I am, this is what I can do, and here's all the benefits as to what I can do and what I can offer you. As a result, you're going to say, okay, Arsh, there's going to be lots of objections. So it's not going to be straightforward as, okay, Arsh, here's the keys, here you go. There's going to be lots of other questions going to be saying, okay, what happens if this happens? How are you going to guarantee this? How am I going to be sure that you're going to get that? And we're going to be covering some objections a little later on. So that's why if you are on Facebook, if you are on Instagram, if you are on YouTube, it is now the perfect time for you to think about coming on the webinar, because we're going to be on the webinar for 60 minutes and we're going to close the live video shortly. So as a result of taking the property off the landlord, we now turn it into now what is called a HMO, which is an abbreviation for House of Multiple Occupancy. And we then rent the rooms out on an individual basis. So previously, let's say that we're paying the landlord a rent of £500. Now we're going to rent out 6 rooms individually at £300 a month each. Well, let's just say in Wolverhampton, the average room rent is £300. So 6 rooms, £300. Now you guys do the maths. So 6 times 300 is £1,800 a month. That's right. So you've got a property generating £1,800 from a property that previously the landlord was generating 500. Sound interesting? Don't get too excited yet, because out of that 1,800, that's not all cash flow. Because out of that 1,800, we've now got to pay the rent to the landlord, 500. We've got to pay some utilities, so it may be council tax, water rates, electricity, gas, broadband, cleaner. It may be insurance, it may be boiler insurance, and a few other bits and pieces. But in essence, you should be looking to net circa a minimum of around £100 per room per month. So in that respect, on a 6-bed, you should be looking to net a minimum of £600. Now, let's think of this from a benefits point of view. Who does this benefit? It benefits the owner because they now have got a long-term covenant in place, i.e. you taking the property on for a 3, 5 or 7 year period. It benefits you because you've now taken control of a property that you don't own. You've not had to put a deposit in, you've not had to deal with solicitors, you've not had to deal with mortgage companies or anything like that. I've come across lots of property investors day by day who may not be creditworthy, or well, not creditworthy is a bad term, who may had an issue with a credit file. And so this is the perfect strategy for them. It may be that someone is trying to get involved in property and wants to dip their toe in the water. And this is the perfect solution for them. And as a result, now taking this property on, getting it income generating, you're happy as an investor. As a result, you've now got a property that you can then start to, it starts to become a rapid, what's the best way of describing it? It's almost like a snowball effect. You get the one, it's like riding a bike. You learn how to turn the pedals, all of a sudden you're on your 2 wheels and you're off, boom. And that's what it did for me. I challenged myself within 12 months, how many could I get? And within 12 months, I pulled in 23 properties. Simple as that, 23 properties in 1 year. Crazy. We've gone way ahead of the slides, by the way. So just so that you know, we've got a lot of people online, by the way. Guys, just so that you know, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, we're going to close the live video now. So there's a link in the comment section, which is it is bit.ly/R2R action, which means that you've now got to take action if you want to join us on the live webinar. If you've liked what you've seen, share the video. You're going to get an option to win £1,500. If you're on the webinar, I want you to come and join us on Facebook, LinkedIn, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, or all those kind of wherever you can find me on social media. So, guys, on the live streams, Thank you very much for being online. I'm going to be seeing you now on the webinar, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Good night. God bless. So, guys, now we're solely on the webinar. So, guys, thank you for sticking with me for that. So, what is rent to rent? As I've discussed, we turn the property on a room-by-room basis, turning the property into a HMO with the landlord's consent and staying under the council legal requirement to license a HMO. In this way, you'll make more monthly cash flow from the landlord from a property that you don't own. Now, I'm going to spell out a few myths. Why now? Well, we don't know what's going on with Brexit. We don't know what's going to happen with funding. We don't know what's going on with the world in general. But more importantly, the one thing that I'm very cautious of is the fact that some people may not lending, and more importantly, the more lending you take on, the more chance that you've got to be working for the best part 25 odd years, which is the average kind of term of a mortgage company, and you've got almost like something around your neck saying, I've got to own this property for 25 plus years. Whereas with rent to rent, you can put in lots of different clauses where you could get out within 1, 3 or 5 years. We'll talk about get out clauses shortly. Now, why now? We know what's going on with Brexit. We don't know what's going to be the effects of Brexit. So again, it's an interesting time for us to be in property. But more importantly, Section 24. Now, if you're in property, you will know. Does anyone not know what Section 24 is? Feel free just to give me a quick, hey, yes, I do, or no, I don't. That would be fantastic. Okay, so straight away, we've got a couple of people said, I don't. Okay, so Section 24, straight away, is a tax that they've now brought in, which means that, here we go, I've got a slide exactly for it. In 2015 and 2016, the column that you want to look at is the one where it says mortgage costs. Let's just imagine that your employment income is 20,000. Let's just imagine that your rental income is 50,000. Your mortgage costs on as a result of that is 35,000, and then you've got some other costs. Previously, that 35,000 would have been used as capital allowance. Unfortunately, now, as a result of Section 24, as a result of Section 24. The mortgage cost can no longer be allowed to be used as a capital expense. Therefore, it will mean that all rental income will be tax deductible. I'm sorry, not tax deductible, will be taxable. And as a result, it will be pushing you into a higher tax bracket a lot quicker because you cannot use that as a cost. Which means, and then finally, one of the reasons why tonight's webinar is so timely is because of the 1st of October 2018. There's going to be some new legislation. There's some new regulations coming in with regards to HMOs. So previously, anything up to a 6-bed HMO in a non-Article 4 area, you could get under permitted development, or you could do without the use of planning permission. That still remains the same. However, previously, you could have run a 5-bed on 2 stories and not required a license. So it still would have been an unlicensed HMO. However, from the 1st of October 2018, that all changes. So if you've got 5 beds or more, regardless of how many floors there are, you will require a HMO license. Which, for me, is not the end of the world. I've seen lots of people panicking. Oh, I've got to go and get a license. I've got to go and do this. There's going to be an extra cost. It's going to cost approximately £500 or £1,000, depending on what the cost of the license is. But guess what, guys? As far as I'm concerned, I see that as an opportunity, and you guys should see this too. The reason being is there's going to be so many landlords out there and now thinking, you know what, this is the final nail of the coffin, along with Section 24, along with all the other bits with Brexit and everything else. This is the final nail in the coffin, and I'm out. And as a result of that, that is a fantastic opportunity. I've seen people selling up. I've seen a load of people selling up and thinking, you know what, now's the time to get out. And what I'm saying to them, guys, okay, you don't need to sell. You don't even need to deal with tenants. I'm your solution. I'm your solution. And as a result of that, we are cleaning up on taking on properties. The one thing that you just got to bear in mind, there are some things that you need to understand is that there has to be a minimum room requirement. And the minimum room requirement is 6.5 square meters. So each bedroom has to be 6.5 square meters. Before, people would have run below the radar. So if you're running a 5-bed on 2 floors where it's previously unlicensed, the council would never have known that you're running it as a HMO. Now, as a result of the 1st of October 2018, you're going to be on their register, which means that you're now on their list, which means that you're now on their radar. As a result of being on their radar, they will come and inspect pretty much every property. Once you're on that list, you've got to put in an application, you've got to pay a fee, they've got to come and inspect your property. If they see that a room is under 6.5 square meters, that room cannot be rented, which means that you've got to be extremely careful. So that's, if you are an existing HMO operator, you need to take that into consideration. So one person, Annie, says, I can only get you on audio. Is this webinar only available on audio? So as long as you can see the slides, yes, it is only on audio. Would it make it easier if you could actually see me as well? Feel free to let me know if you want to see me. I'm happy to open up the webcam. It's not ideal now because we're halfway through, but I can do it if that's what you want to do. So why is rent-to-rent important? Well, from your point of view, why is rent-to-rent important? First of all, speed. It can be done at the speed of a handshake. It could be done at the speed of a handshake, which means that you could go to a landlord today and say, let's just use Annie as an example. So I could meet Annie and say, hi Annie, my name's Arsh Ellahi. This is who I am. This is what I do. I understand that you've had a few issues with your tenants and your property previously, but here's how I can help you. As a result of that, I've been in lots and lots of scenarios where at the end of that, pretty much, let's say it takes on average about an hour a meeting, I walk away with the key without even signing a contract. Now the contract comes shortly, so I can't take access to that property straight away, but without signing. But he's giving the key. That's his way of saying, you know what, Arsh, here it is. Take it off my hands. So as a result, that's one way. So sorry, Annie says that she does want to see it. So okay, cool. So hopefully you're gonna see me in a second. Hey, so this is me. If you're watching me at home, I am at home in my home office. So that's why rent-to-rent straight away is really important because okay. So speed of from the speed of the transaction, and pretty much it is low risk. When I say low risk, because you can put in lots of places, you can put in stuff like break clauses. Now, let's just get one thing clear. If you own a property, what's the way of you exiting? The only way of you exiting really is if you sell the property, which means that you've got to put it on with an estate agent. That means that you've got to find someone to buy it. That means that they're potentially going to get a mortgage. That means that they're then going to go through the valuation. They've got to go through the conveyancing process, blah, 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 which could take months. Now, with a rent-to-rent property, you could literally put into your contract a break clause, which means that, you know, for whatever reason, you don't think this is going to work for you, blah, 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 you can exit by giving, I've got properties where I can give 1 month's notice. I've got some properties where I have to give 3 months notice. I've got some properties where I have to give 12 months notice. So it all depends. And the beautiful thing with rent-to-rent is that is all subject to negotiation. When I say subject to negotiation, I'm talking about you dictate the terms in that contract. The landlord will say, yes, okay, I want this, this, and this, and then you can go back and say, well, I'm not so sure about that, but it is all subject to negotiation. With a property sale, there is no negotiation. Landlord says, I want £100,000 for it. You may say, okay, I want 80,000, but you've still got to put in a load of capital input to that. So there's a massive difference between buying and renting. Beautiful thing about rent-to-rent, you don't need to tie up a massive amount of cash into the property. When I say that, I've got lots of properties. Now, let's think about it from another point of view. I'm just conscious of time as well because we haven't even hit the meat yet. On the average purchase being around, let's say £100,000, which means that on average, you're going to need around £30,000 per property, 25% deposit, legal, stamp duty, legal, stamp duty, and a few other bits and pieces. So you're going to need £30,000 plus any refurb, etc., etc. So you may need the best part of £40,000. If you took on 10 properties, that means that you would need £400,000 in the bank to be able to take on 4 properties. However, with rent to rent, you could actually take on 8 single lets. You could take on flats. You could take on service. Flats to use as service accommodation. You could use units. You could use commercial buildings, from commercial to residential. All different types of properties, and you wouldn't need to pay a deposit for them. But again, that is all subject to negotiation. Out of the 45 properties that I've got, I think I've only ever paid 2 deposits. And the reason why I say that is because I say to them, guys, I want the money in my bank so that I can spend it on your property and increase the value of your property, and as opposed to the deposit, which is going to be sat in your bank. Does that kind of make sense? That's pretty much a very straightforward way as to how I talk to them. Okay, so Bina has come and says, she goes, hi Arsh, so rent to rent, you don't need a HMO license. Yes, you will. If you're operating a HMO, you will need a HMO license. So anything above 5 or more, regardless of how many floors it is, you will require a HMO license. It will give you a reoccurring income. So providing that you run it correctly, and you have to, you've got to make some decisions. Are you going to manage it? Are you going to self-manage it? Are you going to give it to a letting agent to manage? If you're going to use a letting agent, obviously you've got to adapt that into your costings as well. And then finally, it's no excuses way to invest in property. The reason why I say that is because taking all the above things into consideration, there's no reason for you not to even try and dip your toe in the water. You take on 1 property. If you see that it serves you well, property number 2, 3, 4, and 5 will fall straight into your lap once you know where to start looking for them. Now, when we're talking about speed, remember there's no waiting on solicitors, there's no surveyors, there's no lawyers. Deals can be done at a handshake, and you can grow your portfolio at the speed of your ambition. You can do this from your own pace. You may decide that year 1 I'm going to take property 1 on, year 2 to do it, or you may say month 1 to 3 I'm going to take 1, 3 to 6 I'm going to take another, 6 to 9. That would be the sensible approach. You could take 4 on in a year, or you could go hell for the leather like I did and take 20 plus on in year 1. But I can do that just because of my experience and and the size of my company allows me to do that. So remember, when we go to cost, no deposit required. Again, subject to negotiation, and you simply pay for the refurbishment and possibly the furniture in the house if it comes unfurnished. Now, one thing that you can do. Sorry guys, I'm just quickly checking. I've lost my camera here. Can you guys still see me? Yeah, brilliant. You can. Fantastic. Okay, let's keep moving on. So you simply pay for the refurbishment and possibly the furniture. When I say refurbishment, if you're running it as if you've taken it on as a single let and you want to turn it into a HMO, yes, you are going to perhaps have to put some stuff in. So for argument's sake, there may require fire doors, you may require fire alarm, you may require emergency lighting. You may need to put door closers on, thumb turn locks. So there's certain things that you're going to have to do to turn it into HMO. And yes, that all costs money. You can try, and if you wanted to, negotiate it where the landlord pays for some of it, because you're going to leave it in the property thereafter, and you're going to increase the value of the property. But generally speaking, from my experience, they will say, if you want to run it as a HMO, it's all up to you. Does that make sense? So low risk. House prices don't affect you. Interest rates don't affect you. It's easy to analyse the right property by searching the tenant demand before you take the property on. And the success only requires your focus and determination. Now, if you're thinking, I'm going to take a property on and I'm going to literally just rent it out, which is great, and you're going to run it, there's going to be some work that needs to be done. It's going to require a bit of your focus. It's going to require a bit of your determination to get the first one off the ground, to understand the systems, to understand what's required to get it running as a HMO. Now, when we talk about low risk, let's look at some of the largest companies in the world right now. And I've listed 6 of them: Instagram, Uber, Airbnb, Alibaba, Netflix, and Facebook. And these are pretty much 6 that you're pretty much using on a day-by-day basis. These are 6 of the most valuable companies in the world right now that owns no assets, owns no pretty much no assets in any of their companies. Airbnb is the largest accommodation provider, but owns no real estate. Instagram, the most valuable photo company that sells no cameras. Netflix, the largest growing television network with no, and Facebook, the most popular media provider, creates no content. Now, you as a renter is exactly the same. You're going to be taking on, well, you've taken on a load of property without actually buying it, or all you're doing is simply controlling it. So we're going to be covering a bit of old ground because we've gone at 100 miles an hour very early on. So the rent is £1,000. Let's just use the example of £1,000 a month to the landlord. Now you rent out the rooms at £500 a month. So £500 a month is 2.5 grand minus the bills at 750 minus the rent to the landlord, which means that you're going to be left with a profit of 750 a month. And this creates a house for multiple occupancy. So in month 1, you could take 1 property on. By month 3, you could take 2. By month 5, you would have had 3. By month 7, you might have had 4. By month 9, you may have had 5. By month 12, you may have had 6. And it is possible to do that. And that is a very structured approach to doing it. But if you have a look at the average property for the purpose of this example is £500 a month cash flow. By month 12, you could generate yourself 3 grand a month, which is 36 grand a year, which is a very healthy living. Now, there's a rule to it, the rule of 5. So room 1 pays the rent. Room 2 pays the voids and the buffer. Room 3 pays the utilities. Room 4 pays the council tax. Room 5 should be your cash flow. Room 6 should be your profit. So 5 and 6 is your cash flow and your profit, and so on. So if you've got 7, 8, 9, and 10, recently I looked at a 17-bed HMO in Stoke. Now, just so that you know, it was going to take 8 rooms to cover all the costs, and the other 9 rooms were profit. So you can see 9 rooms at an average of £300 a month cash flow is going to give me approximate cash flow of £2,700 a month. We're just in the process of trying to negotiate some terms on that. Just so that you know, I've got a lot of questions coming in, and I'm going to try and aim to answer them, but I need to get through the content, and I will come back to your questions. Hopefully I'll answer your questions as I'm going through the presentation. So you need to, one thing I will always say to you is analyze the numbers. Be honest with yourself and don't chase the numbers. Don't chase the deal. If the numbers don't work, saying to the landlord, you know what, I appreciate your time. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to have a look at the property, but on this occasion, I just can't seem to make it work. So in that respect, if there's anything that we can do to renegotiate, otherwise, I'm going to have to say sorry. At that point, I can pretty much bet my bottom dollar that the landlord's thinking, shit, apologies for the French. I'm about to lose a person that's going to guarantee me my 3, 5, or 7 year rent, and you watch how quickly they backtrack on their numbers. So you're actually holding the cards for that property. If the numbers don't work, don't be afraid to turn around and walk out that door. The last thing you want to be doing is lumbered with a property which doesn't generate you any cash flow, because the only person that you're actually working for is the landlord, and that's not the way it's got to be. It's got to work for you and the landlord. It's got to create a real win-win scenario. So here's how it works. The gross rental income is all the rooms rented out together. So I've put in here a guide as to what I would believe is the average for what you should be putting in for. The one thing that I can't account for is council tax, because as you know, every council tax is banded according to the property value and the property location. So I work on average about £65 per person per month for utilities, and that is council tax, water rates, electricity and gas. And then the repairs I put in on average around £20 per month. On average for voids, I get the gross rent and divide it by 12. And that gives me an indication as to how much I should be putting in for voids. I can put in a figure for insurance, but generally out of the 45 that I've got on rent to rent, I think I only pay insurance on 1. The reason being is that I said to the landlord, it's still your property, it's still your fabric, it's still your building. You should still be insuring it, but you need you to make sure that it's insured under a HMO policy. Broadband on average, Virgin is around £40 a month, even though you can get cheaper packages. Clean is around £40 a month. Profit is approximately £100 per room per month. So if you've got a 6-bed HMO, you're going to be looking to clear 600. If you've got a 10-bed, you're going to be clearing £1,000. You know, anything in excess of £100 obviously is great, great benefit to you. And and that should give you the max rent that you can offer to a landlord. So you can work it backwards. So if you take all these figures into consideration and the rent that you can offer to a landlord, you'll see what your cash flow is going to be looking like. Now, moving straight on. Now we're going to get straight into it. Now remember, there's two ways of finding deals. You can either go direct to landlord, or you can go direct to agents. Now, my personal preference, out of all of the ones that I've done, I think maybe 99%. I think I've only ever taken a couple off an agent. All the others have all been direct to landlords. Now, there's loads of ways. It's impossible for me to sit here and tell you every single way to find a landlord. Now, a question I've got to ask you guys is that, out of all the guys that we've got on the webinar, how many are actually HMO owners yourselves? So I'm just quickly, so quite a few people say, yeah, me. Okay, so one thing that you've got to ask yourself is, where do you advertise your properties? Because the same place that you're advertising your properties is the same place that the other landlords are advertising their properties, which means that, guess what? You're now in a pool of other property investors who also need your help. And the way that I look at this is that every time I see a vacant property, I see it as voids, bad debt, and loss of income. That means that they need to speak to me. Now, it sounds very broad and brash, but that's my approach. If the property is vacant, it is losing money. They're still having to pay council tax. They're probably still having to pay some standing charges on some kind of meters. It means that the property is not performing as they wish or they wanted, which means that you could be saying to them, guys, you need me as much as I need you. Does that make sense? So you should start looking to them and then approaching them. Now, there's lots of ways that you can do this. You can go to land registry, you can get the details. This is all basic stuff. This is not advanced stuff. You can go to land registry, you can type in the house number and the street name, and you can get their number, and you can send them a letter. Hi, this is who I am. This is what I can offer you, blah, 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 blah. And I know that, you know, people are doing this because on average, I get around 10, maybe 15 letters a week. Because people are, and that's not because my properties are on a vacant. That's because that my properties have been listed on stuff like HMO registers and stuff like that, which is all public information. So, you know, there are lots of people out there finding landlords, and all you've got to do is be a little bit a pro. You've got to. So, for argument's sake, I know Andy's pretty much all over Facebook, and he's advertising rooms. And Andy, just so that you know, I've probably got the best part of hundreds of people here who may want to actually talk to you and do deals with your properties, because I know that you've got rooms vacant. So in that respect, if there's something that we can do, Andy, I'm always happy to have a chat. If it creates a real win-win, I know that you've got a decent sized operation, so it could create a real win-win for everyone. So does that kind of make sense? So anywhere where a landlord has got a void or empty room, the way that I see it is void, it's bad debt, and it's losing money. Now, the one thing that you've got to take into consideration is that no one ever landlords will always tell you the rosy side of the story. It's going fantastically well. The tenant didn't, left and didn't cause a spot of damage. We had a deposit, blah, blah, blah. Now, let me tell you something. I've been a landlord full-time for 18 years, but been involved in property pretty much 33 years of my life. I can tell you that it never goes smoothly. This week alone, I've had to go and serve notices on 2 tenants. So I've got a flat over in Tamworth. I've got a house over on the other side of Wolverhampton, and they seem to think that paying rent is a thing of the past. And so I've said to them, guys, okay, if you think it's a joke, here's a letter, and which has got a Section 8 notice. I'll see you in court. So it's not always swimmingly for me either. And you will come across issues, and don't let that put you off, because the way that I look at it, I look at the global picture. And if I've only got 2 people that has caused me an issue out of the best part of 1,000 tenants, guess what? I'm actually not doing too bad. So you've got to look at it in that respect. So Andy says, I'm actually running 21 HMOs now and need more rooms, more houses to use. Okay, Andy, could be something that we need to speak about. So, all right, sorry. Now, dealing with letting agents. Now, straight away, just so that you know, when you deal with a letting agent, if you walk in and say, hi guys, I've seen that you've got the house to let, I want to turn it into a multi-let, straight away, guess what they're going to say? Boom, door, don't let it hit you on the way out. They've probably heard it a million times. The same line as you walking in as a property investor and saying, hi guys, I want to buy your property, I'm a cash buyer, but I only want to buy stuff 25% below market value. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. They've heard all this bullshit far too many times. What makes you a better deal than the traditional tenant? Why should the landlord give it to you? How will the agent benefit from you being their tenant? And these are the questions that you've got to ask yourself. Because if you don't know that, if you don't know what your USP is, your unique selling point, you won't be able to convince the landlord that you're a better bet for them than another tenant would be. Does that kind of make sense? So dealing with letting agents is an art. You have to understand who they are, what their model is, what their commission structure is. You need to calculate how much they think they're going to earn out of it as a traditional tenant. You've got to look at how much they're going to earn from you being a tenant in the property and see how that benefits for all parties involved. If you go to them and say, guys, okay, I'm prepared to take the property on a 5-year basis, but I only want to deal with the landlord, they're going to say, guys, okay, thank you very much. But again, don't let the door hit you on the way out, because we are a business and we are here to keep properties in our books or on our books. And as a result, we make a monthly commission as a result of that. Now, if you're looking to take that away from us, we don't think that you're the right candidate for us. Does that make sense? So you have to be extremely, not calculated, but you've got to know what you're offering before you walk into a letting agency. Because if you walk in and just go with an approach saying that I want to take something on a 3 or 5 or 7 year basis, and I'm looking to do a company let, they've heard it all before. They're thinking, yeah, okay, here's another guy, here's another clown that's about to walk through and try and offer me a deal. Now, I'm going to introduce you to a young gentleman. Now, this guy is called Michael. He's a real inspiration. Now, I've only managed to get him online literally about 10 minutes before the webinar, because I thought he could add massive value to the webinar. Now, I've been working with Michael for a few months, and he's now on. No, actually, I'll tell you what, instead of me talking about it, I'm going to let Michael introduce himself. So, hi, Michael.
Evening, Arsh. You all right?
Hi, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
So, Michael, we've only got a few minutes because we're running extremely over. So I want you to introduce who you are, where you're from, how old are you, and more importantly, as a result of us been working for the last few months, what's that done in terms of your productivity, shall we say?
Okay, my name is Michael. I live in Kent at the moment. I've got no experience in property, and right now I've got 7 rent-to-rents through working with Arsh. I've learned how to analyze deals, how to get deals direct to vendor, and also through letting agents.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so how many have come through letting agents? How many of those have come through private direct to vendor?
One's come through a letting agent, the rest are direct to vendor.
Fantastic. Okay. From your experience now, how hard did you find to get off the ground, and how long did it take you to get off the ground? And as a result, from getting off the ground, how long did it take you to find your feet to create the snowball effect?
It took me about a couple of weeks to get my first rent to rent when I started training. Then after, it's just been snowballing, to be honest with you. So I got the second one a month after that, and I got another one within 2 weeks of that one. Then I got another 4 within a month. So it's just been a snowball effect, really.
Okay, just so that you know, Michael's taken on 7 rent-to-rents that he's got himself personally with his business partner Kazim, who I'm going to introduce later. But just so that you know, Michael has also looked at HMOs in other parts of the country which are not of real interest for him to take on, and he's simply traded those. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So he traded them. So he took on, I think there were 6 in Sunderland and 1 in Liverpool, and as a result, we traded them. because Michael said they're fantastic deals, but I can't deal with them at this current moment in time. I don't have the capacity to do that. And I said to him, well, let's not waste the lead. Let's monetize the lead. And as a result, what did you make off that deal, Michael?
12K.
So he earned himself £12,000 as a result of that one deal. And then there's another one in Liverpool, Michael.
Yes, we sold that for 4K.
So sold that for 4K. So Michael net himself 16 grand for properties that he doesn't own, and he's simply packaged. Now that's another reason why rent to rent works, because again, you know, you may, let's say Michael may take it on, you may be looking at properties all over the country, and the landlord says to him, okay, Michael, I've got this property in London, but also, and the scenario, and I know this was a true situation. He goes, Michael says, he took the property off the landlord in London, and then the owner says, I've actually got other properties around the country. Would you be interested in those? And Michael didn't want to say no to him because he's still building rapport with him. And as a result, Michael then said, they may not be for me, but would you mind if I found someone for them? And as a result, the landlord says, yeah, as long as you can make it all happen. And Michael took it through the whole process, and as a result, managed to seal the deal on those 7 other units. So fantastic. Is there any questions for Michael very quickly? So question straight away, he goes, what did Michael do in the properties he monetized? Just so that you know, he did nothing. All he did, he potentially viewed them. So you did view them. You went up to Sunderland to view the properties. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, I went to Sunderland, but I didn't go to Liverpool.
Okay, so you went to Sunderland. So basically, Andy says, he goes, well done, Michael. You paid for the ones he's keeping. Good work. And that's exactly it. You don't. Everyone assumes that you have to take on every property that you take, every property that you see. You don't. You keep the ones that you want. You trade the others that you don't. Just so that you know, I traded 483 deals last year, and they're deals that I personally didn't want. They're not in my location. I bought 50 that I wanted. I traded the others. And as a result, you know, in that respect, this is what I'm teaching Michael to do. Okay. So Michael, quick questions. He goes, how did Michael contact? So Michael said, how do you contact the landlord? So what have you done, Michael? Have you just pretty much done what we've talked about, contacting them by writing letters out to them, or what?
I got this landlord through Gumtree. I just rang every single landlord in the my location on Gumtree, and that's how I got the deal, and just followed up on him.
Okay, so brilliant. So there are lots of ways to contact, lots of portals. You know, you haven't got your Rightmoves, your Zooplas, you've got your Gumtrees, you've got your Spare Rooms, you've got your Open Rents. There's loads of different ways. And then Mez has come in and says, did you have to endure any refurb costs? So did you take on existing HMOs, or were they single lets that you had to convert into HMOs?
Okay, the first one was a residential that we have to convert into a HMO. The second one was a HMO, it was HMO ready, and the rest of them are HMOs, basically, yeah.
Okay, so you've taken on ready-made HMOs that don't require a load of refurb because they're already HMOs. They may be underperforming HMOs, is that right?
Yes, that's right, yes.
So remember, HMOs can be a little bit time management. Sometimes people may not have the time. So let's say I've got lots of investors who are cash-rich, time poor. So they end up buying HMOs because their cash is then giving them an income, but they don't want to manage their HMOs. So another way that we can do that is we then can find someone to take it on a rent-to-rent basis, a 7-year basis. So Sam Kalpa said, did you offer any personal guarantees for any of the properties or not?
We offered rent guarantee insurance.
Okay, so you don't offer personal guarantees, but you've offered them rent guarantee insurance.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Okay, so brilliant. So Michael, stay on the line because there's going to be lots of people asking questions are flooding in left, right, and center. Are you going to stay on the line until the end of the session, and then
yeah, definitely.
Brilliant, Michael. Thank you very much for coming online, my friend. I appreciate it Sunday evening, and then let's keep you moving. Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
So Michael's just one person that I've been working with, and he's a fantastic guy. You know, he is so on the ball. You know, he's 27 years old. He is on the money. He said to him that he's using this, and you know, how many other 27-year-olds that you know that have cleared, you know, decent amount of money from trading as well as doing their rent-to-rent portfolio as well. So one thing that I'm going to talk to you about very quickly is a rent-to-rent masterclass. And the reason why I put this together is very simply is because I get approached pretty much every day saying, Arsh, I need help with rent-to-rent. And because the new legislation is coming in, we're getting landlords offering offloading stock every day. So I thought, well, why don't we use this as a fantastic opportunity and get a load of people out there taking them up, as opposed to landlords selling them. So we're going to be running it as on the 20th and 21st of October in 2018. So it's a 2-day course, which is with me personally, showing you the fastest, cheapest, and most profitable way to set up your rent-to-rent property. I'm going to give you cost guides for furnishing and refurbishing your rent-to-rent property. I'm going to give you the 5 top ways to find landlords. So I'm going to show you how to elegantly persuade landlords to do business with you over anyone else or do nothing. I'm going to be showing you how to find endless supply of tenants. I'm going to be showing you the rent-to-rent profits calculator, an easy-to-use spreadsheet that instantly shows your profit from each property. I'll be giving you a recording of the entire course that you can always refer to, and all the presentation slides. Plus, here's the really important part. I'll be giving everyone that will come on the workshop all the paperwork that you require to get you moving forward. So I'm going to be giving you the contract which you need to give to your tenants once you've taken on the property. I'll be showing you I'll be giving you the management and the lease agreements that we use. That it's cost me thousands of pounds in legal fees so that you can sign with the landlord. I'll be giving you the guarantor contracts. I'll be giving you the tenant moving forms, and I'll also be showing you the how to furnish your property guide. Now, I'll be giving you the marketing letters, how to approach homeowners. I'll be giving you the marketing letters to landlords who are on the HMO register. I'll be showing you how to approach them and giving you the landlord persuasion spreadsheet, showing you how much money they're really making from their property. Now, just the one thing that you've got to take into consideration, a landlord, when they getting a rent of £500 a month, they're not actually achieving £500 a month. They've got to take into consideration their mortgage costs, their management costs. Let's say they need a gas safety certificate by law. They need an EPC register certificate, EPC certificate by law. There's certain things that they need to do by law, but they're not taking this out of consideration from the rent that they're achieving. They've just got fixated on the headline figure. So as a result, you can actually go and say, guys, okay, I appreciate that you're achieving 5 million, but what are you actually netting? A lot of them may even be breaking even. I'll be showing you how to take it one step further from rent to rent, and even potentially putting an option to purchase in there as well. I'll be giving you the proven checklists as to how to refurbish, furnish, and fill every property with the right tenants, the ones that pay on time, the ones that look after the property, and the ones that never complain, and how to do it and in the right order, then rather than a complex process which can become simple and quick. And how to make your room stand out online. Now, if you go onto Spare Room, there's millions of rooms online, hundreds of thousands of rooms online. Now, what makes you different to the landlord that's also advertising in your location? Does that kind of make sense? You want it so that tenants call you out first and will actually pay extra to live in your property. So just so you know, we're offering it as a 2-day workshop on the 20th and 21st of October. Stay with me, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a Q&A session shortly, and we're going to be offering it out at $997 for the weekend. It is being based in Birmingham, and all you've got to do is copy the link below. So it's bit.ly/R2R success. So here's what we're going to be doing on the 2 days. So we're going to be showing you how to identify and dominate your goldmine area, how to get in front of a large amount of landlords, how to create a high-end finish for a low-cost budget, how to be legally compliant and to avoid the pitfalls that others have been caught out with, how to calculate the numbers and profit on each deal. Just so that you know, I'm going to actually, as part of the training, I'm going to share with you right now. When I say share with you, I'm going to be showing you, this is a document that I keep pretty much on every bit of technology that I have. So every time I meet a landlord, I literally just whip this out, and I can literally tell within seconds whether it's a deal. I can see how much rent they're after, how much fees that we're going to have to put in, what kind of rent that we can achieve after putting in all the costs, what's going to give me rent cash flow per month, what's going to give me per annum, what's going to give me over the period, what's going to look like as a return on investment, what's going to look like, and how much it's going to take to break even. So you will get your hands on that. So pretty much, when you go to meet a landlord, you go to them with that document, and you say, guys, okay, just so that you know, I appreciate that you want £1,000 a month, but actual fact, when we look at the figures, if I give you £1,000 a month, and I have to pay for this, that, I'm actually running around for you. And when they see it on my spreadsheet and they say, you know what, Arsh, to be fair, I understand where you're coming from. And I said, well, we've got two options. We can either negotiate or I can walk out. Because they see right there and then that the figure that they're after is only of benefit to them. Remember, when a landlord gives you their property, they want you to make some money in order to fulfill the period that you've agreed, the 3, the 5, or the 7-year period. There's no point them giving you a property for 7 years and as a result, you handing it back after month 3. I've seen it happen. And when I asked what's happened, Arsh, we didn't get our figures correct. Or when a landlord approached me, Arsh, we had another company approach us, wanted to take the property on, and after 2 months gave it us back. They couldn't make it work. And when I looked at the rent that they negotiated with that person, it was never going to work. It was set up to fail from day one. So the one thing that I want to do is make sure that if you are coming with me, that we get you set up in a manner where you do not fail. I'll be showing you how to become legally compliant and how to avoid the pitfalls that others have been caught out with, and how to calculate the numbers and the profit of each deal. And then on day 2, we'll be talking. Day 2 is all about negotiation, because finding all the deals and getting them all in front of you is one thing. But if you do not know how to seal the deal or not know how to negotiate the deal, all the leads are pretty much pointless. I'll be showing you the buying patterns and the sales psychology. I'll be showing you the exact processing for taking a prospective landlord from the first letter or phone call to a deal. We're actually going to be doing a whole session on overcoming objections. We're actually going to be performing live interactions on the day. It's a personal, firm favourite of mine to actually call landlords there and then whilst you're in the room. And as a result, we like to try and follow it up. So for argument's sake, if you're in the room with me, and if it's one of your locations, I will then set you up with an appointment to follow up with on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I want you to come back to me and say, yeah, you know what? I like the thought of that. And then finally, you'll learn the relationship selling model. Remember, there's this 12-step process in selling. You need to be able to understand all 12 steps so that when you go to see the property, you know exactly what you're looking at and exactly what to say to a landlord for him to say, I'll tell you what, Roger, here's the keys. I really like you. I like what you're doing and I understand what you're going to do. Now, one thing that I offer on all my workshops is that if you buy the course, you risk nothing because you're covered by 100% money back guarantee. Here's how it works. If you attend the first day of the course and you're not completely satisfied, all you have to do is say so and you give you a full refund. No questions asked, no hassles or forms to fill out, no problems at all. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of guys. Now, this guy, he's gone on to stupid success. Now, I first come across JC in Jan 2015. In year 1, he smashed it. 18 years. 18 properties. He's actually based in Croydon. He's then gone on and developed it further. He's got a bit of a knack for traveling. He's actually started taking on condos in places like Tokyo, Taiwan. So he's taken it to a different level, and he's using the rent-to-rent strategy on service accommodation strategy. So it's phenomenal. Once you've got the knowledge, how you can actually adapt it according to what your strategy is. He likes the service accommodation. He doesn't like tenants. He rather has clients on the service accommodation strategy. So you can see there's his cash flow model that he produced over a number of properties. Now, Girish, I talk about Girish a load because I genuinely love this guy. He's a fantastic guy. He's got a heart of gold. Now, Girish has been a full-time consultant, a paediatric surgeon in Birmingham, earning a massive salary, 120 grand a year. Very stressful job though. He had 70 to 80-hour week, and he lived for his holidays and the weekend. And as a result, Girish, within the space of 12 months, he took on 8 properties. And that's phenomenal success. It hasn't got to the point of earning his £120,000 a year in from 12 properties. But as a result, he's well on the way to earning the £120,000, but living life on his own terms. Now, a question that I'm going to ask is that, are any of these guys any different to you? No, they're not. All they are, they've put their doubts aside for long enough to give this a try at no risk to them. And they've achieved unbelievable results. Unbelievable results faster than they dared to dream. So here's some of the guys. Here's some of the guys that have been on previous workshops. And then one thing that I will say is that I appreciate that not everyone can attend an event in person. You know, time comes along, you know, I've got kids. I've got 2 very young kids. I appreciate that weekends can be tough, but we wanted to get everyone on this, and therefore we've given you multiple ways of getting involved. You can attend in person, take advantage of the networking opportunity. You can live stream from the comfort of your own home. So pretty much like what you're doing now, but you actually get to see us as well, like you are now actually. You can get to ask the questions. You'll get all the documentations emailed to you beforehand. And also, you actually, if you wanted to, if you can't attend in person, you can't attend the live stream, the recording of the session and also the session that I did before, you will get access to the recordings and all the associated documents. Now, one thing I will say is that anyone that purchases the information today, I will actually give you access to the recordings of the previous workshop that I ran earlier in the year. I only run 2 of these a year. So the workshop from what I did earlier in the year, which means that you can pretty much get started on this tomorrow. Remember, the 1st of October and the whole of October is going to be a key month for you to take on landlords. So the cost of it, so Abid says, what's the cost of it? The cost of it is $997. So just imagine not having to do a day's work for anyone else for the rest of your life. No more boss, no more commuting, no more pressures, no more financial worries. You're going to have a regular and reliable income from working less than 1 day a week. And then to learn these secrets, all you're going to do is book your seat onto the 20th and 21st. Copy the link below. And so you copy the link below. And my plan is to help as many landlords as possible through the difficult time ahead. I'm confident by the end of 2018, my rent-to-rent portfolio will give me in excess of 50 grand per month. And you can do exactly the same when you use this simple system. Now, one of the guys that I talked about, Kazim, this is actual Michael's, one of Michael's business partners. And Kazim wrote this on the 10th of June. He goes, the man next to me is a genius. His approach to property is one of a kind, and I'm blessed to have him as one of my mentors. Thanks, Arsh, for sharing your toolbox with me. Now, I thought that was a lovely testimonial because it's very, very rare that I share something like this. And the one thing that I liked when he said that his approach in property is one of a kind, I completely agree that my approach is like nothing else that you'll see out there. Lots of people saying, yeah, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And it's all standard stuff. And they're saying generate leads and then figure out what to say to them after. It's the wrong way around. You've got to look at it from the point of view is that what's the landlord going to want to offer? What's the landlord? What's the motivation for the landlord? Where's the pain for the landlord? And as a result, once you understand that, you can offer them a solution which is going to create a real win-win scenario. And again, the link at the bottom there is a link that you need to go to book on. So that kind of brings us to the end of the presentation, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the presentation. So, going through some of the question. So, Rena says, I'm unable to attend in October or November. Is there any way that I can attend future trainings in December? This is the only one that I'm doing for this year. I've got lots of other things that I'll be concentrating on for the year. So just so that you know, if you can't attend in person, you can live stream, or you can actually get all the recordings pretty much straight away. So if you like the thought of that, you can, get in contact with me, Rima. So James says, do you need to be a member of any kind of ombudsman or policies? There are certain things that you need to be a member of. So first thing that I would say is that you've all got to become member of something called the PRS, which is the Property Redress Scheme. If you wanted to, you can become part of the Property Ombudsman Scheme. You could get public liability insurance. What else do we get covered? What else do we cover? And that's to cover us. As Michael says, you'll get yourself rent guarantee insurance so that you're not having to pay hefty deposits. So is it cheaper to buy the recordings? Just that you know, it's not cheaper to buy the recordings, because the key to it is the content and the documentation. You're going to get exactly the same content from the recordings, because it is actually buying the details. So Rima, if you want to purchase the recording of the live stream, you have to click the link which is below here. And once you've gone through the payment process, we'll be coming back to everyone that's purchased and say, guys, okay, if you're interested, are you attending or are you live streaming? So if you could do that, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay, so public liability insurance. Okay, so Ugo, sorry, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. He goes, do you tell them what you do over the phone first? Now, one thing that I will say to you, Ugo, is that you have to let them know. You have to get them to be comfortable with the fact that you want a film of a long-term commitment. You can, if the property is already a ready-made HMO, it's furnished, there's nothing stopping you from taking it on for 12 months to see how it goes. Don't turn it away if someone says that, you know what, you're going to make some money off the property and it's for 12 months. If you're not having to put in a lot of capital input to it, if you can take it on pretty much instantly, why wouldn't you take it on? Okay, so M&A. So Arsh, do you suggest to have a rent-to-rent website too in order to introduce ourselves to landlords? It would be good. M&A, the one thing that I'd say is that it costs hardly anything now to create a template website. So if you created a website, and a website can make you look a lot bigger than you actually are, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, because let's face it, everyone boasts their success. But you could turn around and say, you could go and say, M&A, my name's M&A, here's my website, massive rooms limited, and they go and see these flashy images. You could do some pictures of some other properties that you've done, or you could even still, use images of some friends' properties, etc. So there's other ways that you can do that. But yeah, it's a good suggestion. So Abid says, how long will the training be for? It's 2 days. It is 9 to 5 both days. So 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is in Birmingham. So Abid, a lot of people do stay over in the evening. A lot of people do travel back and forth, depending on what your circumstances are. Or if you wanted to, I've had some people that have attended day 1, live stream day 2. So it all depends on what you want to do, really. We're very flexible in that respect. Rizal says, sorry, hopefully I've pronounced your name correct. Is it normal to pay a landlord 1 month's deposit, 1 month's rent in advance? No. Believe it or not, I've taken some landlords on, I've taken some properties on where I've not paid anything. I've actually got, there's one property in Wolverhampton where I've actually got the property rent-free for 12 months because the property was an absolute state. And I said to him that I need 12 months to get the property right, and then to be able to to get my property back, to get my money back. So Bina says, okay, right. Bina says, I have a business partner. Can you do 2 people for 997? Right, I'll tell you what I'll do, Bina. I didn't encounter getting this question, really. If you book tonight, I'll allow you to bring your business partner for free. So 997 for 2 people. How does that sound? Okay, so Abdul says, what about being a registered deposit taker? You would still register your deposits, with a TDS, so tenancy deposit scheme, my deposits, as you would normally with a single let. So you wouldn't need to register anything else. Okay, so Sharon says, I want to bring my partner with me. Will it be the same price as the partnership? So yeah, here's what I'll say. If you want to come and that person is your business or marital partner, so it can't just be, if I see you advertising it on the platform and saying, oh, I've just been on Arsh's website and I think I can get space and we can share the cost, that won't happen. If they are your marital or your business partner, and if I need to, I will ask that question. Yes, we'll allow you to do 2 for the 997. Okay, do you only look at lease options usually and not purchase lease options? James, depends. We look at both. So for argument's sake, if a landlord says to me, oh, okay, my intention was to sell it, but I'm happy to rent it. One thing I'll say is that, okay, why don't we rent it? And we'll also put the option to purchase in there within that period as well, which takes it pretty much from a rent to almost like a lease option. So there are things that you can do, and it can become, and this way, if you do it this way, you can actually target a different style of property as well. So you can actually target properties for sale as well as to rent. So that's one thing that we'll be looking at the workshop. So Letitia says, again, apologies, hopefully I've got your name right. Are mini HMOs still viable? 3 or 4 beds, for example, in the high rent areas like London. Now, Letitia, this is where this will be key for you, because the spreadsheet will tell you everything that you need to know. You can work backwards. So you can put the rent in that the landlord wants. You can put in all your costings and all your rental figures, and instantly it will tell you what your cash flow will be on the basis of the rent that the landlord would like to achieve. Off the back of that, you can then go back to them and say, guys, okay, you know what? I'm not so sure about this rent. How can we work around that? How can we work around that? And again, by going and showing on the spreadsheet, guys, really, guys, if I'm only working to pay you, I'm not going to be here in 3 years. So we need to work together and make it a win-win scenario. So Jordan says, hey, can we join? So Jordan says, when can we join your mentorship next? Mentorship. So tonight's not really about plugging mentorship, but we're opening it out in January for a start in Feb, and that's the Elite Property Tribe. So you can go to elitepropertytribe.co.uk and read up on that. So, sorry, going through some of the questions. Is it cheap? No, it's not cheaper to buy the recordings. I've been through that. Does the landlord have to change his mortgage to a HMO mortgage? Now, one thing that you would say is, so Ian said, does the landlord have to change his mortgage to a HMO mortgage? One thing I will say is, yes, the landlord has to have a HMO mortgage product. The one thing that you should say to them is, you've got to make them aware that what you're doing. So you are going to be turning the property into a multi-let. It's a term of the contracts that we use, and it's very clear in there that it states that the landlord has confirmed that they have the necessary insurance and mortgage products to allow us to run the property as a multi-let, and we even state in there as a house of multiple occupation. So not only do we spell it out to him verbally, but it's there written in there. So he can't come back to us and say, oh, Arsh, we didn't know that you're running it as a HMO. And we've had 1 or 2 try and do that, but in the same respect, we say, well, hang on, we spelled it out to you from day 1. So yeah, we try, and if they haven't got it, I had one landlord that had it as a residential mortgage. I said to him, but hang on, you told me that you were running it as a HMO previously. So how are you doing it as a HMO previously if you've got a residential mortgage? So you've got to go through that question. So, okay, so if not HMO, what kind of sport? Okay, so, right. So question that Mez has come back with, he goes, how much on average capital would you need for a standard 3-bed, 2-reception room property? If it's not a HMO, what kind of support do you get after the course? Great question, Mez, sorry. So first of all, if it's a 3-bedroom, 2-reception room house, if you're going to keep the 1 reception room as a communal lounge, that means that you're still going to run it as a 4-bed HMO. 4-bed HMO does not fall under the new legislation. So that means that in essence, it will still be an unlicensed HMO. So a lot of people are now trying to stick to 4-bed HMO. So that's one thing that kind of covers your question, M&A, that you've asked. So what would your suggestion be from the 1st of October when searching for deals? Okay, so a lot of people are searching for, 4-bed run as 4 beds because you don't have to put in the fire alarms, the fire doors. So if you're gonna run it as a 4 bed, depending if it's unfurnished and you're going to get it furnished, I on average calculate for around between £300 and £500 per room for furniture. So depending on the quality as well. If you want to go for the higher end, you've got to budget for around £500 per room. So straight away, that's £2,000 plus your lounge, and then all your bits and pieces. So on average, for something like that, you're going to be needing circa between 3 and 5 grand. But then saying that, if you work that into your calculations, and you see if you can get the landlord to give you a rent-free period, or you can actually work it extremely well. If landlord's already got furniture in there, there's nothing stopping you from utilising that and making it look better by getting some cost-effective sheeting, some cost-effective pictures. I know guys that go to a place like B&M or even go to a place like Car Boot Sales and pick up pictures for like £2 and stick them up and make the rooms look a lot better. So it is pretty much like a changing rooms kind of approach. Okay, so James says, I'm interested in rent-to-rent opportunities in Plymouth. If one of your students have come up and want to source on that way, I'd be interested in. So again, James, yeah, you may want to have a chat with me tomorrow and let's see what we can do and go from there. So, okay. So Sharon says, can the processes be fast-tracked if we have properties and we need help moving on the next stage? Yes. So Sharon, one thing that we're going to do is I actually thought about this literally just before on the webinar, because generally speaking, we've got Facebook forum for people that have been on the workshops, and they can we'll add them into the forum thereafter for any of the questions that they got to ask. One thing I did think about, and I've got to run this past my PA yet because she's got to set this up. I was going to say that if someone wanted to, and this is only a suggestion at the moment, but if they wanted to, I'd be happy to create a WhatsApp group where they can go in there, and I could answer any questions via WhatsApp, and we could throw that in there. We could probably throw that in there as well. So when it comes to support, if you've got any questions, I can answer those questions as well, or I can get my PA to answer those questions pretty much on a day-to-day basis. So it will be WhatsApp support. It won't be telephone, pick up the phone to Arsh support, if that makes sense. I've got to be very clear on that as well. So it will be WhatsApp support. So you'll still have my mobile number. You will have the Facebook. If you've got questions, you can ask my PA, and then we can get those put through as well. Okay, so Tinashi says, hi Arsh, will there be a replay of the webinar? Well, I'm not sure if we've had this recorded or not, but if it is, I'll try and get that out to you as well. Okay, so we've answered that question about. Okay, so we've answered that question. Okay, I've answered a load of questions that have come up, which are pretty much, are mini HMOs still viable? Yes, we've answered that one too. If already a HMO, okay, this is a good question. If it's already a HMO, how much were you able to guarantee for the vendor? He's already used to high return. Okay, great question. Let's break it down. It's already a HMO. How many rooms are vacant? Why is he talking to you if it's such a great HMO? Is it because he's had bad tenants? Is it because he's had bad debt? Is it because he's had issues with running it as a HMO? Is it because he's had bad agents? So yes, he may be used to high return, but he also understands the pain of potentially running a HMO if run badly. And he has to also value your time. So you have to take that into consideration as well. Your time is valuable. So in that respect, you have to go pretty much hard and say, yeah, if you're after 100% of the rent and want to do 0% of the work, that is not a win-win. And that's where you turn around and walk out the door, because for you to get from there down to here is pretty much impossible. if he's there or thereabouts where you are and you want to just negotiate, you know, £100 or so a month, that's doable. If he wants, let's say, £1,800 a month and you're looking to offer him £1,000 a month, you're way off. So unless your negotiation tactics are fantastic, there's no way that you're going to get those figures down. So yeah, I appreciate the question. But that's a long way off. But by the point that they're talking to you, there's no reason why. There's no reason why there can't be deals to be done. Right, let's quickly. How do you ensure you recover? Okay, let's quickly ask the question. Okay, so Fritz says, what's the cost for your one-to-one mentoring? Believe it or not, Fritz, it's £1,000 a month. So it's not something that I kind of promote on these kind of workshops. It's more so on a individual contact basis. So James says, how do you ensure you recover any refurb if only on a lease option though? Because, okay, James, quick question. If you're putting in, let's say, if you're putting in £5,000 into a property, you will look at how much cash flow it's going to generate. You'll also look at how long you're going to take the property on for. If you're putting in £5,000, but you're only taking it on for 1 year and it's only going to produce £4,000, automatically you know you're going to lose money. So you've got to look at it from a point of view. And this is where the spreadsheet pretty much tells you everything that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. I consult the spreadsheet every day. As soon as I look at a deal, I stick in all the numbers. If the numbers look tight, I know where I need to be. After looking at the initial figures of what they're after, I then put in the figures and work it backwards to see what I can offer. Then I go back to them with my revised offer. And as a result, we go from there. He goes, I understand. So just factor in the beginning, you won't add a clause on sale of property or refurb, recoup, etc. You can do. Again, that is subject to negotiation, and that is very much a catered or tailored approach. You know, if they're looking to sell, always put in the option to purchase. Okay, so this is my last question. Then what I'm going to try and do is see who's. We're going to give away one free space onto the workshop, believe it or not, to the guys that were sharing, they were adding me on Facebook and etc. Right. I mean, is there any right? So Abdul said, is it worth negotiating with estate agents, stroke property agents? Absolutely, because guess what, guys? With estate agents or property agents, they only make money once the property is let. So they want to let that property as quickly as possible, which means that if they can find you, if they can get, you know, we speak to agents pretty much on a day-to-day basis. The reason why they love me is because we're taking properties off them pretty much every day. We're taking properties off them every day. And as a result, it works extremely well. You know, we take a property off them, we're still paying we don't cut the agent out the centre. We make sure our rent goes to the agent collects it, they still take their 10%, they then pass it on to their landlord. If we cut out the agent, we're no longer a viable solution for that agent because they've then just lost a load of commission. Can you access the landlord through an estate agent? If you try and access the landlord through an estate agent, you've just lost that. You've just lost that agent because you're trying to cut them out of the centre. So be extremely careful what you try and do there, Sarah. Okay, so guys, what we're going to quickly do, let's see. I haven't checked to see who has actually, and if you've this might crash, but if it does, what we'll do is, here we go. Right. So 2 people shared it. Let's have a quick look who it is. So, oh, fantastic. Okay, what we're going to do, I've just asked my PA, and she goes that Jen Merchant. Who was it? Sorry, it was Miriam Fratani who shared it first. So I'm gonna put congratulations, you won the prize. Christina P. Fantastic. So Christina will get in contact and she'll be giving Miriam the prize on that. So she's won the prize to come on the 20th and 21st. And so, guys, if you like the thought of the workshop, if you've got any questions on the workshop, sorry, so I'm just going through. So, okay, I'm doing essay in London. Do I need a license to do this for more than 90 days? Unfortunately, I can't comment on essay on this session. Unfortunately, I can't comment on this session about service accommodation because it's completely the wrong subject. So, if you like the thought of anything that we've covered tonight, feel free to get in contact with me. So you've got my personal mobile number there. If you want to have a chat with me tomorrow, more than happy to do so. You've got my mobile number. You've got an email address for me there. I'll be following up and just sending you if we've got this recorded. I'll be sending you the recording, and then we'll go from there. So, guys, on that note, I wish you all the very best for your rent-to-rent journey success. We've given out a lot of content there. And if you want to have a chat, please give me a shout. So Mr. Khan says, please repeat your number. It's 07967 016 425. So that's my mobile number. If you want to have a chat, hopefully you've taken in some real golden nuggets off there. Okay, so Sarah says, can I have the, so what I will do is bit.ly, which bit.ly/r2r success, all lowercase r2r success. You have to copy it, or if you've got any questions or you've got any, you want to have a chat, feel free to give me a call. But on that note, guys, I wish you all a very lovely evening. Enjoy the session. And if there's anything that I can help with to get you along on your journey, always happy to do so. And anyone that knows me, I'm very, very generous with my time because I love the thought, you know, when I was starting out, I did not have this support mechanism. So, you know, and I've had to learn the hard way, which means that you guys don't need to do that. So if you like the thought of that and you want to get involved with me and all the things that I do, you know, the first thing that you have to do naturally is come and meet me. And the way that you're going to get to meet me is on the 20th and 21st of October. And on that note, guys, I wish you all the very best for the weekend. Take care. Good night. God bless.